happy to open up the doors to the office and show how we operate. So about the space here, actually we are not we are close to center, so it's about like 5 minutes, 7 minutes ride by car to the city center. And yeah, well, this office perhaps is we're going to be here for a few more months to the new office. So next time when you visit, hopefully we can welcome you in the new office. Other than that, actually that concludes from my side, but I'm super happy to answer any questions you might have and just engage in discussion. And then afterwards, you can meet some of our team members as well. So Peter says he's working with a lending company, so if you have something to ask about loan originators, you can ask him. And then Igor is engaged in a conversation in a great shirt. He's our chief marketing officer, so you can ask about any marketing matters there. But I'm super happy to answer any questions at this moment if you have any, so feel free to ask any what you have in your mind.
Can it be tricky questions?
Yeah, tricky is the best one.
So what is your main goal or thing that you're most excited about in the future you're working on in Mintos right now?
I think what we are very much excited is actually the new product which we're going to announce tomorrow. I think that's going to be a very great experience for investors. And then in a longer term, I think we are very much excited about broadening. We're going to continue doing what we do as well, basically focusing on investors and bringing more kind of loans from different geographies, but also broadening the product offering. So what we're going to offer is Mintos IBAN account, Mintos bank account number, basically you can get your regular bank account number with us, Mintos card, another one, and then make it all mobile is also something which we are very kind of excited about. And in a general kind of grand scheme of things, I think what we are excited is about like technology. So and with technology, making financial services better for the clients which we serve. So I think that's like a very kind of grand thing to do, and that's like paradigm which is happening around us like already today. That when we think about financial needs, we're not necessarily going to think that the bank is the only way to is the only one which can serve those needs. So we're definitely going to participate in that and serving those financial needs as well.
Martins, will that require a banking license, or will you just?
It's an e-money license. It's an electronic money institution license, and that allows us to give you a bank account number and also deal with payments. But that's not the banking license. Banking license would allow you to do many different things.
But there also what's a guarantee on the deposits?
Electronic money institution actually, all the money we hold in a kind of correspondent bank or just in a bank. So in case Mintos would go out of business, you get all of your claim towards where the money sits. So it's actually even better than deposit.
So when you are an e-money license, if you are licensed in Latvia, you will have to have the money in the bank.
We're going to have in different banks, and it's the license not going to be in Latvia. So it's a pan-European license, so it doesn't matter in which country we get the license. It's pan-European license, and we can passport, and we get a passport. So the bank account's also going to be different.
I'm interested. You mentioned the technology.
Yeah.
I've noticed a few changes in the website recently, like some of the features kind of disabled. For example, the charts, I can imagine, was due to kind of problems in the performance of the website. How this is like improving. I haven't seen feature back yet, so yeah. I assume there is still some kind of work to do in the performance.
I mean, the feature we have in the backend is just like enable charts disabled.
I can imagine.
Too much load, then we can disable them. And that's basically the result of the growth we have had. So there's a lot of kind of many transactions happening, and we have to keep up with them. And basically, we do our best to make sure that the platform itself is operating. Unfortunately, some of the features we have to take off. But in general, I would say that actually we provide more kind of features on top of those which investors definitely request. We're gonna bring back, but that's part of the exercise what scaling team is doing. They're working on keeping up with the kind of scaling.
Is it a chance to chat with somebody from there? I mean, I would be interested in it technology-wise, no details of course, but like infrastructure-wise.
Maybe with Martins you can, or head of product, you can focus him afterwards definitely. And Vital is also joined, so Vital is our head of investor service, so you can also talk with him. Sure.
Are you planning to improve the auto invest in the near future or something? Because I know some people have the problem that they set maybe decided at 12-13%.
Yeah.
And then they're buying the lowest available loans for that interest rate, even though there's maybe a 15% loan available from the same company.
Yeah.
And so then what ends up happening is that you need a single auto invest for every single loan rate and interest rate and stuff too.
Yeah, well,
Which makes it more complicated.
Exactly, but in general, the simple answer, yes, we definitely are working on kind of making the investment experience better, let's put it that way. But many of those tools are for power users, like for kind of a general user, what we are kind of offering is just to diversify, and then you take the risk of or kind of the platform risk of different loans, and then for power users, yes, well, we're gonna add some tools, but of course the power users is only buying a like small fraction of total user base. So for those users, yes, well, sometimes if you wanna get this additional yield, well, you have to work at it.
Yeah.
That means that you have to set up maybe a few more auto invests than that. But of course, there's some logic which we are considering to build and so forth. Power user is basically somebody who is using it a lot. We have people who are using Mintos like every day. Like, no. It's more just like using it a lot and I don't know, setting up. We have people who have set up like hundreds of auto invests. Right? That's what I would call power users. And instead of regular people who come and set one auto invest and say, let's diversify. So that's the distinction.
Vai jūs esat domājuši kaut kādu apdrošināšanas veidu, ja? Piemēram, es būtu gatavs 1% punktu atdot kaut kādā apdrošināšanas veidā, varbūt jūs varētu, un arī tie, kas piedāvā, jo lielākā starpība starp bankām un jums ir tā nedrošība. Tikko jūs noņemtu to, jūs paceltu sevi citā līmenī.
So the question is, have we thought about actually insurance, so that extra insurance for kind of borrower default? In general, yes, we have thought about insurance, but then the question is who's going to pay for that? And obviously, at the end of the day, it's going to end up investors paying with less return, right? And this insurance would be, in our opinion, prohibitively expensive. So of course, we can put any insurance and make it like bulletproof and everything, but then investors would get back like yield like 1-2%. And then the question is, are you interested in 1-2%, or you still consider it as an investment product, which bears some risk? But for the risk you get compensated. So you can insure like everything. And the thing about the insurance is that with like a borrower default, it's also very difficult to price it efficiently. It's very hard to find like an insurance company which can price like each and every borrower like super efficiently. So in general, I would tend to say that the answer is more likely that we don't see it happening anytime soon. But well, that's something which we have thought.
And the insurance also doesn't provide 100% safety either.
I mean, what provides 100% security?
Yeah.
I mean, even Deutsche Bank has its own problems, right? So it's a good question what provides risk-free. And it's not, I mean, this is what we also have to educate investors. What we offer is an investment product. It's not savings product. It's not like guaranteed. It's never going to be most likely guaranteed. You should consider it as an investment product. Likewise, as nobody insures you or guarantees your stock returns, right? I mean, they go up and down. So this is a different product. Of course, it's fixed income, very different kind of fundamentals affecting it, but in general, it's investment products. Just have scratched the surface of the opportunity. In general, if you look at the market we operate, which is at the end of the day, it's like the whole alternative lending market, and that includes everything like your P2P, your non-bank lending, your like digital and whatever you call it, like the whole universe. And it's a huge universe, and it's also growing. So I believe that in general, down the road, it's going to be that alternative lending is going to be taking most of the lending when it comes to consumer lending, small business lending, invoice financing, and then maybe some other forms of financing. And then the bank's going to remain with mortgage loans and corporate loans to blue chip companies. And that's most likely how it's going to move. That means that the space is going to continue growing. And we, like with the volumes, yes, in actual numbers, it's a good traction and it's good kind of speed so far, but it's just like tiny from the whole opportunity. So the volumes is not really what we would be too concerned about. It's just really, I believe, just starting now, if you ask me. About the licensing, so there are two sides of the coin. So one is licensing in terms of with respect to the bar owners. So that's all through the lending companies. They have their own permissions and licenses and everything in their countries. So we have them from 30 different countries, 61 different lending companies. Then when it comes to kind of serving the investors, then we have to obey the rules in each specific country where we have investors from. So then, for instance, in such countries as the UK, we need specific permissions, which we are now in the process of getting, and it takes much longer than we thought it will. And then in some other countries, it's not considered a regulated activity, because what we offer is actually to bring together investors to conclude assignment agreement with the lending company, which is not really kind of regulated activity. But in some it is so, and also the kind of the space is evolving, and we just adapt to the spaces evolving.
It's a maximum percentage company can depend on financing through Mintos, because I have the feeling some have so much that if you would block them from one day to another, they would not survive the market.
We put the maximums depending on the lending company, so it's going to differ from company to the company. I think max which we have is like 70% for all the funding which they can, of the loan book which they can fund through the Mintos. They can fund 70% of the loan book. The rest of the loan book they have to fund some other way. Yeah. Why we do that is because obviously we want to see them diversify funding sources, because if they would 100% rely just on Mintos as a funding source, it's good, but the next day maybe investors are not willing to fund the loans anymore, and then this funding source puts them additional operational risk. So we want to see diversified, and of course we have to take into account that the lending companies, they are separate businesses themselves, right? So if you would go to any lending company, those are in many cases like huge companies. They're like hundreds of people working there across like many countries. So they are not stupid as well, right? So they want to diversify funding sources as well, so they don't want to rely on Mintos necessarily. So that goes from both sides. From our side, we put some limits, and then from the kind of lending companies also put limits how much they want to fund of the loan books through Mintos.
Because 70% seems like they are dead. They are dead if you stop tomorrow.
Even 50.
And you will have a conflict of interest.
It depends like on the size of the business and on the kind of stage where they are at, and on kind of the market they are at, of what's the kind of current equity. I mean, there's so many factors which you cannot just say without looking in specific case what it is.
Do you have any plans for a similar product like Pandora Go and Grow? Do you have any plans in the future?
We definitely are looking into making the investment experience much simpler and much easier. So you can bear with us maybe for not that long, and gonna see maybe some products in a similar direction. Yes.
Who are your investors? How many private people, how many companies?
We focus very much on retail investors, so it's like 97% is retail investors, and then some are what we would call kind of institutional kind of investors, but those are the kind of small family offices or something along those lines. So it's very much retail focused, and we're going to remain focused on retail for the time being, definitely. So, of course, some of the retail investors are using their private companies as kind of investment vehicles, but we still treat them as retail. So it's very much retail. Yes.
We had a big screen that said investors welcome, but what does normally show?
That's our internal metrics. So basically internal metrics which we follow. Those are basically along the how much is invested and how many investors are there, and then it's going to differ from team to team. Some teams going to have, say, Yanni's team, sales team has their own metrics, then the engineering team has their own metrics. So those are internal metrics which we are, as much as we would want to show them, we cannot actually show them to all.
When a new loan company or when any loan company comes in, you obviously do yourself as a due diligence on it. Are you constantly doing due diligence on them as they keep growing in the Mintos?
Sure.
Is it how often? I mean, obviously it's no use looking back at last year's accounts or whatever. Is it on a monthly basis, quarterly basis?
So obviously we do ongoing monitoring on the each and every loan company that uses Mintos to fund their loans. It doesn't end with kind of them onboarding to Mintos and then it's kind of done. So we do that on a kind of continuous basis, and the regularity is in the range from monthly to quarterly, where we get all the financials and the loan book data from them.
But on top of that, of course, we see all the loans which are funded through the marketplace, we see real time. Because when the borrowers make the repayment, they make a repayment to the lending company, we have API connection to their software, so we get the information straight away to our software and we see. So we have kind of red flags going on. If something is wrong, if something is happening unexpected, then we see it straight away, like loan performance of the loans which have on the marketplace.
And what about the project that you asked for, the debit cards and the IBAN for the future?
So basically that's part of our broader kind of vision where we see Mintos going, is basically with the help of technology to make financial services better as such and for our clients. And IBAN, or your bank account number, is just a natural extension which would make it more easy to access the money which is on the Mintos account. Because today, to access money on Mintos account, you have to withdraw to your bank account and then access and so forth. But then you would have your regular bank account as a Mintos, which you can use to, I don't know, pay your mortgage, pay your whatever bills, or just withdraw through Mintos card, through ATM. So that's basically what we are working on, and we expect it like hopefully this year, most likely early next year, because this regulatory kind of license you have to go through, and then also just building it out also takes a bit of time.
What is the total exposure of all investors? Because you have how much facilitated per month, but total exposure?
380 million is
380 million. And for one loan originator, maximum?
It's definitely less than 10%. Like one. But depends how you define one lending company, because they have some different countries,
like group,
or
groups.
Yeah, I think it's like around 15%, maybe one is the biggest. 10-15%.
What about the speed of your service? For example, how many times you need for withdraw money?
Maybe you can repeat
It's your service speed.
Yeah.
It's very low compared with another companies.
Yeah.
If for example, I would like to take back money, it takes 1-2 days from you.
Yeah.
Bank needs 20 minutes. Yes.
It really depends on the.
But from your side, it's confirmation. It takes one day.
It's actually confirmation from our side is all automated, so it's actually fairly quick. The thing is that it's going to depend whether you have a bank account.
No. Bank account is between our countries, Latvia and Lithuania, is 20 minutes.
It's going to depend because
it's 6 times per day, for example. Yes. But
basically, what I'm trying to say is that we might send the money from different bank account, not necessarily from the bank account which is in Lithuania. If it's a bank account in Czech Republic, for instance, and that is sent to you, then we are dependent on how long it takes for the Czech Republic bank to connect to the Lithuanian bank.
How long do you need for confirmation?
Confirmation is like automated. Most of the things when you click withdraw, then it's automated. So it's a question of technical question how to get money from there to the other bank, and that's dependent on the bank network. So some uses, for instance, when you have instant, it's instant SEPA. In instant SEPA case, it's going to happen straight away. In our case, so it happens like all day through. We kind of do the batching and then send the payments. So those delays, if anything, are related to the kind of bank networks.
If an investor passes away,
yeah.
How does that? How can you nominate a next of kin? Or
it has happened already before. I think like Vitalis can know much better about those cases, but in general, you would get in contact with our support, and we have like depends on the country though. So in different countries, different treatment. So we do our best to help in those cases, and unfortunately they happen, and we have had those cases already. Okay, one last question before we go.
Would you be able to provide investors with more information about the companies, because financial statements on the page are fairly old, there are presentations missing, and I suppose you have much more, or it's all confidential?
Yeah, so basically we are very much dependent on the loan originators, so whatever they provide, we of course provide to investors. What we have to always reckon is that all the loan originators, they are private companies, right? So they're private companies, they're not public companies, they don't do quarterly reporting, the reporting standards differ. We have 61 different lending companies from 30 different countries. It's a whole different kind of way how they report, and not all of them are your Googles of this world or Apples of this world who can report like a nice 300-page report every quarter. That's unfortunately not the case. So we deal with what we have. We have the lending companies from different regions. What we get from them in any form, we place on the marketplace. We have to reckon that they are private, so not always they want to publish all of it. Some of the information we get is kind of management type of reports. Obviously, they're not going to let it on the marketplace. And then on top of that, I think what is very important is that financial information is very much like lagging indicator. So you can see only what happened before. And obviously we understand that it affects the buyback guarantee. But the most important what we focus is the loan performance, because if the loans are performing, if all loans are performing super well, then actually your lending company doesn't matter at all because the buyback is not kicking in. So basically we try to do our best, but there are some limitations and we are very much dependent on the lending companies, what we can provide. So in a perfect world, of course, we would want to see them like nice reports like daily basis, if you will, or I don't know, even quarterly basis, but I mean, they are private companies. Some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger, some have better corporate governance, some have worse corporate governance. So we provide whatever we can. Anyway, very much thank you for coming.